Round 2, fight! Yes, the Bears and the Packers will get it on once again on the Langford at Soldier Field on Saturday night as the Bears will face the Packers in the control for the NFC North Division title after the Bears lost a couple of weeks ago on the last play at Lambeau Field. In basketball, the Bulls won. Yay! Okay, but we have to discuss it whether you like it or not. College football playoff starts tonight. LaKeena, I know she is very excited. We'll have our Week 16 NFL picks, and we have a special guest that made his name in the Chicago sports radio landscape a couple weeks ago. That and a whole lot more as the last Friday show of the year for hashtag Football Friday starts now.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Keep him on the field. And this one, a drive into left center field. Going back is Churio at the wall. Get out! Robert Jr., his fourth of the season. And the Sox take the lead 2-1.
Armstrong gets into another one. Sends Edman back. He's watching it land in the stands. What a night for Pete Crow Armstrong. Goes wide. Up the guard again. And he scores. What a play!
On Jordan Bennington, no chance at all for the Blues netminders. Connor Bedard. Wow.
Getting what a pass. Buzelis with the fade on the drive.
Uzi motions up. They're blitzing. It's picked up. Caleb throws. Middle of the field. Loveland catch. Breaks away the 30. Loveland 20. Loveland 10. Loveland end zone. Touchdown Bears.
Welcome to the hashtag Football for Dick City Sports, the last one for the year 2025. You're locked and loaded, and we're live in living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago, along with Miss LaKeena McGee, which is she. I'm Sidney Brown over here. You know it's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You find LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, X, again, IG.
Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinion, do not 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. You better hit us up right now at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up on the screen for you. But you decide to troll and or do something silly, dumb, or stupid. I'll forgive LaKeena full powers to give you dumbos to build and be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, shout out to our live game. That's LIVE Live Entertainment game. That's checking us out live and in living color right now on our Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels at 12:20 p.m. Central Standard Time. But as always, much love. Wow, to the replay game, checking us out on the replay, also at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels. Don't you ever forget our motto where we talk about sports, music, or entertainment. We will provide.
We invite you to the best show on Second City Sports. We got a loaded show for you guys today. We're going to talk some college football playoff as the first of the round of 16, the 12 games, I should say, starts tonight. Also, too, we got some college hoops to talk about as well. We got some interesting matchups this weekend. The NBA, the Knicks won the NBA Cup. Yay! And the Bulls beat the Cavs a couple of days ago. Yay! The rest of the light schedule in the NBA. Also going to have ESPN 1000 affiliate producer and also affiliate host and producer Jack McGrath as he made a name for himself here at the Winner's Circle. We'll talk about his hopefully he still is going to be warm and toasty coming up later on in the show. Of course, we'll do our NFL Week 16 picks. Let's get a little crowd there at the top. We'll talk about that. We got a lot to talk about, so let's just get right to it here. We'll do Bears Packers actually on the field first. But of course, the big news for the Bears that both the first and the third, as well as Roma Dunze, will not play on Saturday tomorrow against the Packers. And it's going to be interesting to see, of course, Bears try to avenge that loss at Lambeau a couple of weeks ago it's going to be sort of interesting to see, especially without Burton nor Odunze. I think that's really going to be a big issue here. Now, that's not to say that the Packers don't have their issues either on the injury front. Of course, Michael Parsons, he's done for the year. Also, one of their top guys, Josh Jacobs, is questionable, so that might even things out a little bit here. So say real quick, what do you think of the key is going to be for this game tomorrow night?
For the Bears, control the line of scrimmage. Your offensive line has done a great job ever since the bye week, with not only with the pass protection of Caleb Williams, but controlling the run game. It starts up front with the offensive line. You have to get off the bus running with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. Number 2, create a pass rush. I know it's been difficult to do for this Bears defense all year long without a blitz, but you got to create some type of pass rush and create turnovers off of Jordan Love. Number 3, get the tight ends involved. Both Colston Lovely and Cole Kmet will be featured targets, in my opinion, in this game, because you mentioned with the injuries to Luther Burden and Romaduze both being out. So run the ball, control the line of scrimmage, create pressure on Jordan Love. And number 3, get the tight ends involved, especially if you come off the bus running early in the game, set that tempo. It makes the passing game that much easier for Caleb Williams to find his targets. And I think that both Cole Kmet and Colston Lovely can both have big games for this Bears offense.
So for me, I think, like you said, I think the making the rush early on. I think if that's going to be the thing here, that's really what kind of kept the Bears in the game, or I should say, got the Bears back in the game a couple of weeks ago back at Lambeau was DeAndre Swift and also Kyle Monangai. Now, if you think about this, with the fact that the defense, looks like Trey Emmons will make his first start in the last 2 weeks for the Bears. So yeah, you gotta think he's gonna make a big difference there when it comes to that. Now if you're Caleb Williams, I mean, look, don't make any mistakes like you did, like that last mistake you did during the end of that game to try to get the Bears to perhaps maybe get a chance to put them in a position to win it. Now, for me, I guess if you're on the flip side, especially with no the Burn the third. Yeah, I think DJ Moore is going to get a lot of looks as well, but he didn't have a lot of looks in that game. He actually was a little bit banged up. Cole Kmet, Colston Lovely, I think those two are going to be prime targets. We'll probably see a lot of Devin Duvernay there too as well for the Bears. So I think the receiving part is really going to be the big here, especially with Burton the third. He can also block, so that's going to be something that the Bears are going to miss tomorrow night. So. I think it's going to be interesting to see what just kind of set the tempo early on. I think that's really going to be the key if the Bears want to win this game.
You listen to the Hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports on Sports Hall Chicago. LaKeena here with you, previewing Bears Packers. That game will take place tomorrow night at Soldier Field at 7:20 p.m. Central Standard Time on Fox. LaKeena, sticking with the Bears offense, Omalades Zaccheaus, I think, is going to be a big key to that passing game as well for Chicago due to the injuries to the star wide receivers. You brought up DJ Moore, but Omalades Zaccheaus, he's been the big third, fourth wide receiver early in the year. And of course, in the middle of the year, he was injured a little bit, but he had a few drop passes that Caleb didn't go to him for a while. Now he's going to be one of the other featured guys after the 2 tight ends I just mentioned. He has to come up big, in my opinion, to give not only the Bears offense a much needed boost, but it's going to give himself some confidence as well. So I'm looking for Omalades Zaccheaus to have a big impact in tomorrow night's game, in the passing game for Chicago.
And it's going to be interesting to see what the Packers will do, especially with Parsons being out. Who's going to be that that top defensive guy? I mean, Rashawn Gary is right there. You got Xavier McKinney too. Quay Walker, Ezra Cooper. So that's really going to be the key if you're the Packers. Now it looks like Christian Watson. He's also questionable, but he didn't suffer a big, shoulder injury. But Jaden Reed made a couple of big passes for them. Luke Musgrave, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of him, as you saw, a couple of weeks back. So yeah, I think it's really going to depend on which team sets that tempo early on. I know there's been, some back and forth and such, with the talking, but I think for me, look, weather shouldn't be an issue because the weather should actually be pretty decent tomorrow. So I think you have to worry about, freezing and such. So I think if this is sort of like one of those things where you just send the message early on and see what the tempo is going to be for the game.
And here's the thing coming into this game for Chicago, LaKeena. We talked about it immediately after the loss last week. I think that loss gave the Bears back to square one. You saw what they did against the Browns last week. They took care of business there against a less opponent. I think that loss got the Bears' attention. You saw some of their comments and some of the post locker room celebration following that Browns win. A couple of players said they had a bad taste in their mouth for what happened in Lambeau Field from a couple weeks ago. So, as we talked about on the show on Monday, the Bears know what's at stake here because whoever wins this game controls the NFC North. Perhaps you're looking at your division winner for the NFC North in 2025. I'll go to you first. Let's take the Packers side here. On paper, it looks like they could be free falling into the playoffs with the not so addition of Micah Parsons, like you said, he's done for the year. But can you see them, given the rivalry, given what happened a couple weeks ago? Everybody is counting them out. We can rally behind that.
They're going to use it motivation.
Hey, we still a good team here.
Look, they're going to use this motivation. Yeah. I think, and I think I've heard various analysts say, yeah, they're going to. I'm sure they're going to be. They've been hearing it all week long. Like, well, Parsons, the defense sucks without them. So yeah, they're going to. I think they're going to feed off that night, and I think they're going to, try to blitz. They're probably going to try to see if they can get somebody else to try to be kind of like that pass rush guy that Parsons was. And yeah, they're going to use his motivation too. So I know, yes, Bears want to use, they'll use a lot of motivation, but I'm sure, hearing the comments with them, folks saying that, well, Parsons, that defense sucks or the defense is nothing without him. I think they're going to use this motivation as well. And why not do it against one of your big rivals?
Yeah, and that's what Chicago has to keep in mind. Yes, you want revenge against the Packers, what happened a couple of weeks ago, but you can't throw your cleats out there and expect to win. Yes, you have the crowd behind you. Everybody in the world is watching because it's a national game on a Saturday, and everybody's behind you, at least here in Chicago, by the way. But like you said, you got to stay focused. You got to eliminate the big plays, in my opinion, on defense if you're the Bears secondary. Control the run game. That means control the clock. Use some long, good drives, control the tempo from start to finish. I think the Bears can win this game. Like you said, LaKeena, on the flip side for the Packers, in a way, they can. I'm sure they will play loose and free because, like you said, everybody's counting them out. Micah Parsons isn't there. Yes, Christian Watson's steamed up, but you still got Jordan Love there, who's actually having a good season statistically. But people are looking for him to take over, and the Bears are not careful. Like you said, this could be a long game. I think it's going to be a long game anyway. But if the Bears are not careful and let what happened a couple of weeks ago happen again, they could be in trouble.
We'll talk more about this with Jack McGrath from ESPN 1000 coming up later on in the show. But first, we're going to stick with the Bears. But this time, are they on the move to Indiana, Northwest Indiana? Well, middle of all that. Also, Bulls get a win against the Cavs. And, of course, the Knicks win the NBA Cup and more. And we'll probably try to talk some college hoops as well. Some of the big games for this weekend. LaKeena McGee, Sidney Brown,
It's a bottle.
Yeah. LaKeena McGee, Sidney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports Chicago, Bears, Bulls, and NBA college hoops all talk coming up after this. You almost threw me off there, Sid.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. On Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel, you can find us at Sports Zone Chicago. And on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
Got it done here. Ouch! And we're gonna make sure you lit this time. Ouch! You're not gonna get me this time.
Ow, Manny!
Oops. Let's try an easy one.
Every day, we take steps to keep the people we love safe, but some health risks are easy to miss. Ticks hiding in the yard can spread germs, like the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mice searching for food can spread bacteria that makes us sick. Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water and can spread West Nile virus and more. Cockroaches are drawn to water in the home, leaving behind allergens that can trigger asthma attacks. Common pests can threaten our health. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org.
Hey, this is Corey McGee, and I listen to Sean and Maya on the morning show.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday edition. You're locked and loaded and we're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid, that's LaKeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, X, again, IG.
We'll dive into Bulls and NBA talk coming up, and we'll discuss the Bears stadium situation in just a moment. If you have any questions or comments regarding those topics in this segment, you can definitely hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Typing those questions or comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get that up on the screen for you.
There was a letter that was sent just a little after, I would say 5:30, late afternoon, going into the evening, and apparently it was from Kevin. It was from Kevin Warren, basically saying, very long-winded letter saying that, well, the Bears, they're going to be, exploring, if you want to call it exploring, or other avenues. And those avenues include Northwest Indiana. And the timing of all this just sounds really funny. And it like I said, it's comical. And it's just, a little bit nutty here. But look, I'll just keep it short and sweet with this whole thing here. They're not going to Indiana. I know the governor of Indiana. I know folks in Indiana have been, were wanting the Bears. No, they're not coming. This is grandstanding, and I think Kevin Warren is starting to realize that Minnesota is not Illinois. With Illinois, you're going to be dealing with a lot of folks who have their own agendas, who have their own political aspirations, if you will. And he's complained about the taxpayer dollars. They didn't ask for it, but they want a commitment for infrastructure and blah blah blah. It's a little bit above my little thing, but it just seems a little bit kind of silly, on his part to kind of release this type of covenant, especially when you have one of the biggest games of the season for the Bears coming up tomorrow. And folks are talking about this.
Yeah, PR wise, I understood why the Bears are doing this, but the timing of it, not so good. Because really, LaKeena, were you even thinking about this stadium situation? Be honest. Yes or no?
I forgot about it. Honestly.
Exactly. And most Bears fans, including your show, forgot about it too. One of my followers said the other day, not to me personally, but this person tweeted out, the next thing I want to hear about the stadium is, like most folks, when the shovels go on the ground, Kevin Warren promised us by the end of the year or perhaps beginning of the new calendar year that shovels want to go on the ground for a new stadium. Obviously, we're not hearing that. We're hearing grandstanding and posturing is my word that I would use. And shout out to Paris Schutz, political commentator for Fox 32. He's been doing a great job. Check out his videos right here on YouTube. And Lawrence Holmes from 6 the score. I know Anthony Harris has been filling in for Matt Spiegel this week. They did a great job covering the pick and playing in the state of Indiana. I don't see it, but even though the Bears would technically play in that Northwest Indiana region, Lawrence Holmes brought up a good point. Now bring it up to you here. They the Bears would have to be careful here because you're stepping into Colts, and I know you said I know that tweet that governor blah blah, but let's be real. Does Indiana really need two NFL teams? No.
Well,
Do they really want a second NFL team? Last time I checked, they don't want a second NFL team.
And I would think that Carly Ursay Gordon, of course, taking over for her late father, Jim, I'm sure she probably would have something to say about that, too. And if you ask, I don't think she's asked, but I'm sure if you ask her, that she probably would want it. I think her dad wouldn't have wanted it either. And shout out to Illinois Speaker of the House, State Congressman Cam Buckner, who, if you see his tweets, has been pretty hilarious these last couple of days through all this. Announcing your stay in Chicago the day before the draft, bad. Announcing you're focusing on the Arley Heights day before the season opener, bad. And you're looking at the Indiana a few days before the biggest game of the season, bad. Maybe take advice to take a break from the Bears stadium talk until after the season. And he also called out the McCaskey and say they should focus on hosting a playoff game in a stadium that actually exists, not distracted by pontificating about hosting a Super Bowl and one that doesn't exist yet. So shout out to him for that. And he's right. I mean, you want to do all this stuff. I mean, I don't think you didn't see the 49ers owners say something, especially they play all the way out in Santa Clara, and the Giants and the Jets owners, they play all the way in New Jersey. They didn't make a big deal about it. People still go to those games, and all the meatball Bears fans reaction is just hilarious to say the least. So it is pretty funny, but it is just like a bunch of silliness and stuff like that. And it sounds like, the Bears are worth $7 billion, according to the Forbes report that came out a few months ago. But the McCaskey family don't have that kind of liquid capital, so unfortunately, they don't have the cash in hand. That's why they're going on and on about they talking about they don't want state funded money, but it sounds like you're asking for it. Talking about you don't got the money, especially when you bought a stadium, a land in Arlington Heights, the old Arlington Raceway, the old Arlington National Raceway, and you did it before you even finalized parts to do a stadium on. So it's kind of stupid at this point, but what can we do here?
Yeah, that was a great tweak, and just wrapping this up, stealing another point from Lawrence Holmes, like what he said yesterday. Now echo it here, with Kevin Warren in the Bears putting this open letter out to the public and to the Bears season ticket holders. Lawrence Holmes said this, and I'll just kind of paraphrase what he said yesterday. Many of those fans in that stadium are not just season ticket holders, they're voters as well. And we talked about this with the White Sox situation. I think it was 3 times that Jerry Reinsdorf went downstate, and J.P. Pritzker kindly told him, go kick rocks. You saw what happened in Kansas City. And the Chiefs, I know they're not going to the playoffs this year, but they've been a winning franchise under Andy Reid for the past decade. You saw what they've been doing under the Patrick Mahomes era over the last 7-8 years with 3 Super Bowls at hand. And those people voted down to be on the hook for the majority of their stadium. As I said before, and I'll say it again, these owners, they want the public to pay for it while they keep as much money in their pocket as possible. That's not going to fly, especially today's economy. And so if they want to put up some money, as they should, fine. But let us, the public, the citizens of the state of Illinois, and the city of Chicago, and the county of Cook, to be on the hook for the majority of this while you keep your money in your pocket. That's not going to fly. Or put it to the vote, like we said about the White Sox situation. That's going to be voted down so fast it's not going to be even funny.
No, it's
and
not.
Kevin Warren thinks that people are just going to follow him blindly. He has another thing coming.
Like I said, Illinois is not Minnesota. The people here the politicians will tell you. We'll be more happy to tell you in a nice way to go pound sand. So to be continued with all this as you listen to Second Stage Sports on Sports. LaKeena, McGee, Steve Brown with you. Let's completely switch gears here and talk a little hardwood. This on the NBA side. The Bulls won this week. Yay!
Icicle Coral was singing, doing his mic'd up segment for that telecast. I don't know if you caught that, but we'll get into that in a second.
I think I saw a little bit of that. They beat Cleveland, and on Wednesday. 127-111. There's only 2 games on the schedule for Wednesday. They were one of them. Kobe White had 25. Giddey had a double-double, 23 and 11 assists. Vooch had 20, and almost he also doubled up himself at 9 boards. 11 points each off the bench, Kevin Huerter and Trey Jones. On the flip side, though, Cleveland, they were it seems like about a million years ago was his last season. They were the number 1 seed in the East. Unfortunately, they've been struggling this year, 15-13, 21 points for Jalen Tyson, and only 15 for Donovan Mitchell. And the Bulls go to 11-15. They actually have a rematch with the Cavs tonight, this time in Cleveland. Thoughts, Sid?
I know the last time the Bulls played the Cavs, which was early last month, they blew a 19-point lead, only to lose that game in a heartbreaker. They came back and learned their lesson, I guess, on paper anyway. Zach Collins, as you mentioned, off the bench, 10 points, 11 rebounds. Trey Jones, who's missed the last few games, he's been back for a few games now, and the Bulls have really missed his energy when he was out. As we said early in the year, he was one of the league leaders in steals, 11 points, 11 dimes for Chicago coming off the bench. And Zach Collins, call me crazy, LaKeena, he has been a difference maker in terms of any type of inside defensive presence on this team. So you like to see that. Jalen Smith, my guy, he's starting to come around again a little bit. But Patrick Williams, in 11 minutes, only 2 points. He is what he is at this point. He's giving you nothing. And anything that's better than that, I'll be surprised and happy. But that guy is just going through the motions, in my opinion, at this point. I don't even think he knows where he is mentally, but I'll leave that there. But going back to the guards, Kobe White, as you mentioned, if he stays healthy, maybe it can increase his trade value by the trade deadline in early February. We shall see. Josh Giddey has 6 triple-doubles on the year. I know Michael, the all-time record for the Bulls franchise for triple-doubles in the Bulls uniform is 15 by Michael Jordan. Could Josh Giddey surpass that by this season's end? It's a strong possibility. Could Josh Giddey be an all-star? That's a strong possibility too, but the Bulls got to start doing some winning here like they did to start the year at 6-1. But all around nice win for Chicago. On the flip side for Cleveland, ever since they started 12-6, they are now 3-7 in their last 10 games, and they're desperately missing Evan Mobley because of his injury right now.
Yeah, we'll see what happens tonight, and we'll see if Cleveland can get their revenge. Now going the other game from Wednesday, because there are only 2 games from Wednesday. We'll just get this one out the way. Memphis beat Minnesota 116-110, and Chris Finch wasn't very happy after the game. I think they felt that some of the Grizzlies got away with some bad calls here, but 21 points for Julius Randle, even though all 5 players were in double figures for Minnesota. Jock Landale had a career-high 20 points off the bench for the Grizzlies. They've been trying to hang in there with John Morant being out, so not a good loss for Minnesota here.
Yeah, Cedric Howard on the flip side for Memphis is having a great year. Jaren Jackson, the All-Star, is having a nice year. Of course, they're doing this all without John Morant. As we told you for the last couple of years, they are a better team defensively. I'm talking about Memphis without John Morant on the floor. And so you had to give their front office a lot of credit as far as depth is concerned. But for Minnesota, they're doing it without Anthony Edwards right now. As we told you the last few shows, that they're doing this quietly, while the Nuggets, the Rockets, and the Lakers, who we'll get to in a second, they're getting a whole lot of love along with OKC in that Western Conference. Quietly, Minnesota's doing it now. They have a challenge without Anthony Edwards because of his injury. So Minnesota, we talked about their length, their depth, and their size. I think that's what's going to keep them in this thing. But obviously, they need Anthony Edwards to carry them on the finish line. We'll see what happens whenever Anthony Edwards gets back. The Minnesota should be a better team, as long as they don't have any other major injuries.
The fact that they're still 17-10, I think they're gonna think what like 7 and I think like 10 and 4 or something like that without him. So that definitely helps a little bit. But long term, they're definitely going to need him back. So hopefully he'll be back for them soon. Now speaking of the Lakers, if you took the over in this game from yesterday, 143-135 over Utah, 45 points for Luka in that game. And it's kind of interesting with this with all this. So not a lot of defensive effort there, but still, they got a nice win against Utah. Sacramento lost to Portland, a heartbreaker, 134-133 in overtime. Phoenix edged out Golden State 99-98. Denver beat Orlando 126-115 from last night. Dallas edged out Detroit 116-114. Cooper Flag had 23 points. It looks like Dallas is trying to get going there. I know Detroit's last lost to a couple. They've kind of been on the sick hat. They lost I think they've won 12 in a row. They've been had a rough last couple of weeks and stuff. But a nice win for Dallas. They're trying to get it going here.
Yeah, Dallas. Cooper Flag, I know he's had a record for scoring the most points as a rookie before the age of 19. He did that earlier this week in the loss against the Jazz. But I want to focus on Anthony Davis. Of course, he's been subject of trade talks ever since the start of the season when Dallas started off bad. Now Dallas is trying to recover. But last night, Anthony Davis had 15 points and 14 rebounds in 37 minutes of action. And if Anthony Davis can stay healthy and Dallas could get back to perhaps 500, common sense would say that Anthony Davis would be off the trade talks because Kyrie Irving, their injured point guard who tore his ACL last year, is eligible to return after the All-Star break. So if you want Anthony Davis, you will hope that Dallas will continue to lose. But if they keep winning, being competitive, and getting back towards that 500 mark, I think Anthony Davis trade talks was silence. And Cooper Flag, as we said at the start of the year, LaKeena, he was trying to find himself, and Dallas wanted to make him the playmaker. We all know that that's not his game. He likes just to go hoop and go score, and that's what he's been doing ever since Davis returned to the lineup a few weeks ago. So Davis, hopefully he can stay healthy. Cooper Flag has found his footing. So if Dallas can get back to 500 around the All-Star break and Kyrie Irving returns, I think Dallas should make a run, but we still have a long way to go between now and the trade deadline.
That could happen between now and then, so we'll see where Dallas will be by the time that happens. Now, Houston came back. Well, look, Bulls fans know you lost twice to New Orleans. Well, now you know what? New Orleans just beat Houston last night. The Pelicans came back from 25 down to beat the Rockets. Outscoring. They tied the game. 36 to 20. They scored in the fourth quarter. Then it was basically all Pelicans after that. Sidney Bey had 29 points, which was a season high for him. Trey Murphy the third had 27. On the flip side, for Houston, KD had 32. Alpana Sagan had 28. But it seems like Houston kind of just ran out of gas.
Yeah, the Rockets have lost their last two road games. And I know that against good teams sometimes losses like this happen. So hopefully Houston can get back on track. I want to refer to that loss on Monday again. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that game against it was the Rockets in Denver. It was a classic overtime game. With teams like that, we have them down. You're supposed to pull out the knockout punch. Houston didn't do that. Denver did in that game on Monday, and Rockets walked off the floor with a heartbreaking loss. Like I said last night, it's just one of those games that like you said, let it get away from you. You think that that big lead is just supposed to just sit on in against a bad team. Sometimes it works, many times it doesn't. So hopefully with those two losses on the road, it'll wake up Houston and get them back on track.
I mean, it's one thing to lose to come back lost to Denver. That's one thing. But to lose against New Orleans, Hapless Pelicans, and that's not good. Now, Toronto, continuing with last night's games, Toronto beat Milwaukee. Brendan Ingram had 29. San Antonio beat the Wizards 119-94. OKC beat the Clippers. SGA had 32 points. There, Miami beat Brooklyn. The Knicks, no letdown here. I'll tell you why in a second. They actually came back and beat Indiana, 25 points for Jalen Brunson. And Charlotte beat Atlanta. Constantinople had 28 points for the Hornets as they beat Atlanta.
Yeah, Charlotte's trying to put on a little bit of a run here. I know they still 9 games below 500, but they've been playing some decent ball here lately. Atlanta, I know they got off track. They were one of the surprise teams in the Eastern Conference to start off the year. They hit a wall a little bit, but let's see if they can get back on track because we'll talk about the Knicks in just a second. But, with Cleveland struggles, I know Boston, they lost a tough one on Monday to Detroit at home. I still believe they'll be all right, but after those two teams, Boston and New York, the Eastern Conference is up for grabs. So we'll see who could grab those next few spots. So things are kind of shaping out here a little bit, but we still have a long way to go.
Well, Toronto, another one of those surprise teams. They beat Miami. Brendan Ingle again had 28 points in that game against the Heat. Utah beat Dallas in overtime. Keontae George had 37 points. You mentioned that Nuggets Houston game. Nikola Jokic at 39 had a triple double. As they kept on Monday, that's I said Monday, and they came back and beat Houston in overtime. And also, of course, Memphis. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 31 points, which is right up there of a season high for him as they beat the Clippers. Now, of course, speaking of the Knicks, it actually ended up, if you didn't watch the NBA Cup, we don't blame you, but it actually ended up being a pretty entertaining game. It was kind of back and forth for a little bit, but the Knicks pull away from the Spurs, 124-113. Jalen Brunson, who was named MVP, had 25 points. OG Anunoby had 28, leading the way there scoring wise, but also Jordan Clarkson and Tyler Kulik, who Brunson, to his credit, mentioned during that post-game interview, they each had 15 and 14 points respectively off the bench. On the flip side for San Antonio, Wembanyama had 18 points off the bench. So, of course, he also admitted that he lost his grandmother the weekend prior. So he's been playing with a heavy heart, but still came back and had 18 points. All 5 stars were in double figures for San Antonio. But, again, it was the Knicks that kind of kicked it into gear in the fourth quarter, and that's how they ended up winning the game.
Yeah, actually starting that second quarter when the Knicks got back in the game defensively. Of course, you mentioned Jalen Brunson taking over in the fourth quarter, but it was other guys like Anthony Towns and Josh Hart and the other supporting castmates stepping up on both ends of the floor. As we talked about on Monday's show, with the return of Victor Wembanyama, even though he was in limited action against OKC, you could, as I said on Monday, and I'll say it here again, you could tell that his press is not just him just standing at 7'4", but his offensive game is what today's NBA game is required. He can sit the long J, he can cross you up, he can post you up, but he makes his mark defensively. And you saw OKC's game change once they got into the lane last Saturday night. That was one of the reasons why they lost. Victor Wembanyama's presence was noticed early in that game, but as you mentioned, the Knicks turned it up defensively, especially in the second half, and then imposed their will in the fourth quarter. I actually had a chance to watch the entire game, LaKeena. So many folks that couldn't see it, I had to watch it for what we're talking about now for this show today. I thought the Amazon Prime did a great job about with their post-game show and with their game coverage, and I've been impressed by them ever since the start of the season. But I want to ask you this question. I know you threw it out there for the last show. Do you care about the NBA Cup? I really don't. Not saying just because the Bulls are not in it. Do you care about the NBA Cup? Me personally, I don't. And there's been talks about them moving it out of Vegas, and this will tie into the another topic we'll get into in just a minute. But do you care about the NBA Cup? And number two, the league is talking about moving out of Vegas. Okay, where are you going to move it to?
Well,
Seriously.
Well, the show that I guess people they didn't care. I guess they did because according to the numbers that Prime Video released yesterday, a little over 3 million viewers tuned in. That's the most watched NBA game so far. This is their first year, but this is so thus far. But even still, that's still a pretty big number. And they actually stayed for the post game as well, about a little over 1.14 million. That's about 3% increase versus last year. And I guess some people do care about the NBA Cup. I saw that they are offering Knicks are offering their fans a chance to take a photo with the NBA Cup later today in New York City. So if you want to, but yeah, I saw that they said they want to move it into like college arenas. I mean, what you want to? Okay, sure, let's move it to the Cameron Indoor. Yeah, I'm sure Duke fans, they'll love to want to go to the NBA Cup. Or maybe the Breslin Center out there in Michigan State. Yeah, I don't know if coaches would like that idea. Also, Pauley Pavilion out there in UCLA, where at Oregon, where they play at that weird court. I don't think that might get guys dizzy. Trying to play on that court. But yeah, where Florida, the University of Florida, where they play. I mean, do you really want to put it in those arenas? Are people going to be clamoring to go to those arenas for those NBA Cup semifinals and finals? I doubt it, but it is kind of funny that they're trying to make it relevant. I know the Knicks have already said they're not going to put no banner up or anything like that. So And I guess, but it's actually the first championship of any kind since the last time Knicks actually won a championship back in 1973. It's been that long, so I guess people were kind of partying like it was, around the time that they won that championship. It's been a minute, so. But they came back. Well, they won their next game, so I guess you could say they're keeping their eye on the big prize. But it is kind of funny though. It's nice.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
that's why I'm glad the Knicks are not doing it because.
Well, you get extra bonus money, so you get $250,000. I know Cat's already said that he's going to donate all of his money. So it's for the younger guys that don't usually make that much. So we talked about the last couple of years. It's mostly for those guys, and a little bit of motivation here too.
Yeah, and I'll tie into this question. I'll start the match here, and we'll pick this up on Monday. But with the talks of the NBA Cup moving out of Vegas, I think I read some reports of courtesy of the Athletic that the NBA wants to make a final decision on expansion by the end of the 2026 season, and I think we'll get there. Like I said, we'll talk about this more on Monday. But I think the main reason why they put the NBA Cup in Vegas to gain interest of the basketball fan of putting the franchise in Vegas. I know that the talk has been out there for years. Give Vegas, because I think the league wants Vegas as a franchise, and they definitely want Seattle as a second franchise. I know this talk's been out there for years, but give the two new franchises, Vegas and Seattle, new teams. Put it'll put the NBA at 32 teams, then move Minnesota and Memphis to the Eastern Conference. Because you play those two teams, I'm talking about Memphis and Minnesota, they play in the Central Time Zone like we do here in Chicago, but they play in the Western Conference. It makes no sense.
Well, remember back in the day, the Bulls were playing in the Western Conference, so that didn't make any sense back in the 70s.
Yeah, that was before the expansion in 1976. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I don't think people will use that, but yeah, it'll be just if it does happen that. If the expansion does happen, especially if it goes to those particular places like Las Vegas and Seattle. I know Seattle fans have been wanting a team for years now, so I'm wondering could this be a motivation for them to do it? So like I said, we'll wait and see. But yeah, it's good. I think there's a reason for everything in the NBA. So yeah, this could be why that they want that. That's probably why they move it out of there. But we'll see.
Okay. Wrapping up this hour of Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, we'll give you the NBA schedule for this weekend, starting with tonight's games. Miami will visit Boston. The first game of the NBA Amazon Prime doubleheader will feature the Philadelphia 76ers versus the New York Knicks, the NBA Cup champions. This will be their second game after the NBA Cup. And that's the first game in their prime doubleheader. This at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. This will be a back-to-back situation for the New York Knicks. This will be their first home game since winning the Cup. Atlanta will host San Antonio. The Bulls and the Cavs will do battle again. Boo. Take the Cavaliers in that one. In the second game of the Amazon Prime doubleheader, without Anthony Edwards, the Minnesota Timberwolves will host the 25-2 Oklahoma City Thunder.
It'll be interesting to see how I know the last time they played, I know Minnesota did keep it close for a little bit, but OKC pulled away late, so we'll see what's it going to be this time around. Saturday tomorrow, you got Houston and Denver. That's going to be the first game of the NBA TV doubleheader. Tripleheader, I should say. We'll see how Houston is after losing those last couple of games, the way they lost. Dallas and Philadelphia, kind of intriguing. Boston and Toronto, another intriguing one. New Orleans hosts Indiana. The second game of the NBA TV tripleheader, an intriguing one here. You got Charlotte and Detroit. That should be a fun one. Washington and Memphis. Phoenix and Golden State. Both teams have been struggling. Orlando and Utah. Portland and Sacramento. No, I'm not repeating myself. They did play a couple of days ago. And the Battle of Los Angeles on the strap up the NBA TV tripleheader. You got the Lakers and the Clippers. Clippers being the home team this time. So Clippers have not been playing very good lately. So we'll see if Luka, LeBron, and that gang can take advantage there.
And your schedule for Sunday looks like this. Chicago will face the Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta. Toronto will visit Brooklyn. The Heat and the Knicks will do battle from South Beach. The Spurs will visit our nation's capital to take on the lowly Wizards. Milwaukee will face Minnesota, and Houston will continue their road trip. They'll visit the Sacramento Kings. That is your schedule for Sunday and for this weekend in the National Basketball Association.
Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 coming up here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We'll have Jack McGrath from ESPN 1000 previewing Bears and finish up the Packers Bears and his trip to Winter Circle in a hot dog costume. We'll explain that. He'll explain that as well. Also, of course, our NFL Week 16 picks. But up next, we're going to talk we're going to go to the college sports, if you will, college football, the playoff. The first slate of games starts tonight, and also college hoops. Some interesting matches coming up this weekend. LaKeena, McGee, Sidney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. More fun coming up right after this.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
How do you take care of your mind health?
For my mental health, I meditate in the mornings.
I have my dogs. They're the best.
I just find ways that help me just relax.
Finding things that make me happy, like being close to my family.
I meditate a lot and read books.
I have hobbies outside of the game. I'm able to switch off. I'm able to turn my brain off from the game of basketball.
Your mind health matters.
Your mind health matters.
It's a romance sport. What? It's a romance sport like that.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life. Every day, no matter where we serve, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Everybody in a work zone is someone somebody.
This is my mom. She works for KDOT.
This is my dad.
This is my mom.
This is my daddy.
This is my sister.
This is my daddy.
This is my son, Scott. He was killed while working in a highway work zone. When you drive through a work zone, drive like a life depends on it. Because it does.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday edition, the last Football Friday show for the year 2025. You're locked and loaded, and we're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's LaKeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's
you follow LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and goes again at IG.
As we kick off hour number 2, previewing the college football playoff, which kicks off tonight with Alabama and Oklahoma. And we'll get into some college basketball as well to wrap up the segment. If you have any questions or comments regarding those subjects, you can definitely hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up on the screen for you.
Well, some of the bowl games this week, and we, let's see here. Jacksonville State held off Troy. And that's in the Salute to Veterans Bowl. In the staff DNA curable, ODU beats South Florida. Delaware beats Louisiana in the Venture Bowl, the CCA Venture Bowl. Last night, I should say, Arkansas State held off Missouri State. And there is a bowl game right now. Western Michigan, well, let's face it, they'll win this game over Kennesaw State in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. And you got the game coming up later on. This hour, you got the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, Memphis against NC State. That's down in Tampa. But really, the big game tonight will be the first the playoff games. This will be in Norman as Oklahoma hosts Alabama. They did, like I said, Oklahoma did beat Alabama, edged them out a couple of weeks ago, 23-21. Alabama, they're pretty banged up, and I feel like this could be the same here after what happened. So I'm a little, like I said, I would be surprised. I don't know it's going to be a blow, because it wasn't a blow the last time they played a couple weeks back. But their defense, Oklahoma's defense, is really what kind of carried them, and I think that's what happens. I feel like that's what happened tonight. Sid?
Yeah, look, I think I told you that Oklahoma was going to win that game, and yours surely was correct on that. At quarterback for Alabama, 26 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. But I'm looking at their star running back, Jan Miller, who has close to 500 yards of rushing on the year to 3 touchdowns. I'm looking for him to have a big game. But Alabama and Oklahoma's defense, as you mentioned, their front four, they're top 5 in the country in stopping the run. So I think that's going to be the main key here. On the flip side for Oklahoma, they star wide receiver, Mr. Isaiah Stenega, who has 7 receiving touchdowns on the year. I think he can be a candidate for a breakout performance tonight for the Sooners offense. I think there'll be some points put up here. I say in the lower 20s to upper teens here. I can see that because, like you said, that Oklahoma Sooners defense is very good, especially that front four. And I expect them to get pressure, especially up the middle tonight. If they can stop the run early, I think it's going to be tee-off time to get to Ty Simpson.
Yeah, our Mason Thomas, he leads the team in sacks, so I think he's going to see. And I think he had one of those sacks against Simpson when last time they played. So it'll be just to see what changes, what kind of blitzes that Brett Venables is going to throw at Alabama. Because, like I said, Bama's down to like their 3rd or 4th string running back, so that could be a factor here. So it could be. Like I said, I know that Vegas has them at a pick 'em. I know that's kind of evenly matched, so it'll be just to see what kind of stuff that each team will have planned. So who kind of like controls the tempo. I think it's gonna be more of a tempo game, I feel like. So we'll see what happens, but I feel like we might see the same results tonight that we did a few weeks ago, but we'll see. I think this should be a good one down there in Norman.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a classic game. It's going to be a good game as well. I think it's going to be physical as well. I think, like you said, whoever sets the tempo is going to control the game. But I think Oklahoma will have enough just to do that, and I think they win this game. And I think you'll see the same result like you did over, let's say, you.
Yeah, I think so. I think with the fact that I know that they have them as a pick 'em. I'll talk about this game, but it just kind of feels like Bama is not the same Bama squad. You saw that against Georgia a couple of weeks ago. So I'm kind of with you. I think I would be surprised if Oklahoma wins the game kind of the same fashion that they did a couple of weeks back when they played. So yeah, it should be a good one. Like I said, it should be a good one out there in Norman. Now Saturday, tomorrow, you got a triple header. But that Alabama Oklahoma game will be on ABC, ESPN simulcasting. Now, for those of you who are wondering why isn't the Oregon James Madison game first, because Oregon would have to play at 9 a.m. So for those of you who want to know that wasn't going to work for them, so that's why they're the late game. Now, this game, of course, is probably the marquee game of the 3. You got Miami and Texas A&M. down there at Kyle Station on Kyle Field. That's 11 a.m. on ABC ESPN. They have not played each other. I'm talking about Miami and A&M. They have not played since, since 2022. And also they're Miami's 3-2 in that matchup. And the last matchup, in College Station was all the way back in 2022, 17-9. That was the score there. I think it's really going to be interesting though, because Miami, I mean, you can probably kind of say they probably deserve to be there, but I'm sure they're going to use that as motivation. Carson Beck needs to be the good Carson Beck, not the bad Carson Beck. We saw those two bad losses. Marcel Reed, really needs to take care of the ball. He has not done that the last couple weeks for A&M. So it's really going to depend on which team, sort of shows up. The crowd's going to be rocking out there down there in College Station, and they feel like I said, the fact that people feel that Miami shouldn't be there, they'll use it as motivation, I think, in this game. What say you?
I think Miami is built for the situation because, like you said, everybody and their mama, as the kids would say, are against us. We talked about with the Packers against the Bears from last hour. Miami, they're 10-2. I think they learned from their two bad losses to Louisville and to SMU for early in the year. That's the last time that the Miami Hurricanes went to the state of Texas. They lost to SMU back in early November. But like you said, Carson Beck needs to be the good Carson Beck for Miami. Also, too, I'm looking at Mark Fletcher Jr., of the star running back for the Hurricanes. He has 10 rushing touchdowns on the year. I think he's going to be key as well. You mentioned about Marcel Reed on the other side for Texas A&M. I'm going to point this game out as an example, even though the Aggies have one loss on the year. Remember that game against South Carolina toward the end of the year? They started off slow, and they came back and won. That's going to be the key for Texas A&M. You know that the crowd's going to be behind you, but they got to get off to a better start, because if they don't, and Miami catches momentum, this is not South Carolina that you're playing. You're playing the U in the Miami Hurricanes, and the Miami Hurricanes are going to pounce on them. I think Miami's better defensively, especially with their front four. Miami, they do have some talent offensively. I think Texas A&M, in my opinion, edges out there just a little bit. But I think it's going to come down to, as you said, who takes care of the football and whose running game is going to be more consistent. I think Miami has the more consistent running game with Fletcher's, as I just mentioned. And don't forget about their star wide receivers. I'm talking about for the Hurricanes and Malachi Toney. 7 receptions or touchdown receptions on the year. Texas A&M can put against the mentality, and Texas A&M, they were one of the surprise teams in the college football this year. They can take Miami's built for this situation. I think they're learning from that. They can learn from that Louisville loss and the SMU loss. They're going to take all they in, unleash it on Texas A&M. It's still going to be close, but I have the Hurricanes winning this ball game. Currently, Texas A&M is favored by 3 points at home.
I got them at +1 here, so I guess Vegas certain something here that we don't now. The Hurricanes, they're critical. They're the best in the nation at protecting the quarterback. They've only allowed 11 sacks this year. That's the tie for the eight fewest, I should say, in the country. And also Casey Concepcion from A&M, who of course won the Paul Horn Award for most versatile player. He could be a punt returner. He was really a big key in that South Carolina comeback against South Carolina, and also he can play wide receiver too. So you probably might see him a lot in that game tomorrow. And also Ruben Bain Jr., who's the ACC Defensive Player of the Year for the Canes. He has 7.5 tackles and 4.5 sacks. So those two players might be the big key here for both these teams. I think, like I said, it's all going to be about the tempo. Who can get that quick start early to kind of make the other side force catch up. That's really going to be the key here, I feel like, in this game.
Yeah, and like we said, just take care. Whoever takes care of the football, of all the best. And two, let's talk about the defense, LaKeena. As I mentioned, with Miami's front four, they could definitely get pressure on you. Texas A&M, they're kind of good defensively, but I think Miami is just slightly better. I think my key number is 3 in terms of sacks. Whoever gets to 3 sacks first as a team and controls the tempo with the running game, they're going to win this ball game. So I believe Miami can do that in a tough environment. Texas A&M, outside of South Carolina, they haven't really outside of one loss, they haven't really had that wake up moment. I think this will be their wake up call. I have Miami winning this ball game.
Should be a good one. Cassius Howe, another guy to look out for who's defensive end for A&M. He's the defensive player of the year for the SEC, and actually is a top 5 in sacks with 11.5. So yeah, it could be one of those like defensive type of games. So we'll see what happens down there. That place is gonna be rocking down there in College Station. Now the second game of the college football playoff. This game is going to be on TNT. This is part of the deal that they have with ESPN sub-licensing their couple of their college football playoff games. So 2:30 will be on TNT, HBO Max, and also True TV. Now these two teams have already played. Tulane, sort of same thing. People thought that they shouldn't be there, but they were the highest ranked group of 4, so that's why, and they earned their way in. I know they already played Ole Miss earlier in the year, 45-10 Ole Miss, but again, that was totally different circumstances, unfortunately. Of course, Lane Kiffin's gone. Now a lot of those guys, came back, and I know Golden is taking over. He knows that offense very well. Last time the guys came back to, but they're not taking them lightly this time. This is a better Tulane team than they saw earlier this year. That's why they're in the playoff, for goodness sake. So I think for me, as long as Ole Miss doesn't take them lightly, and they shouldn't, but they shouldn't. I mean, that's definitely a different Tulane squad than they saw earlier in the year. But I feel, especially with all the turmoil and stuff, but that Tennessee team is really good. So of course, Summerall, Coach John Summerall, of course, he's now new head coach of Florida. He is coaching this game for Tulane. So he's actually been doing, double duty here, but, it's going to be interesting what that mindset is. So they got their own, I don't want to say turmoil, but it's kind of the same situation that Ole Miss is in. But it's going to be one of those crazy type of games here. I feel like down there in Oxford.
Yeah, I know that Ole Miss is favored by 17.5, but I think that factor of Lane Kiffin being gone, even though they had a few weeks to practice without him, it's still going to bother with the running Rebels' minds. And what you mentioned with Tulane, I know that they're going to feel like Miami. No one expected us to be here, so we can go out and play free. We can go out and surprise some people. And like you said, they're a much better team now than they were early in the year. But pay attention to the first 5 to 10 minutes of this game. And I'm circling on Trinidad Chambers, the starting quarterback for Ole Miss. Yes, he has 18 touchdowns to 3 interceptions on the year, but pay attention to Chambers, because if he's rattled in that pocket early, I think it's going to be a long day for Ole Miss. And Tulane, they set that tone defensively and get Ole Miss rattled a little bit. They're already thinking about Lane Kiffin, even though he's not there anymore. But they're still going to play on their mindset. Tulane can pounce on them early with the turnover and get a quick score, whether it's 3 or 7. I think it's going to be a long day for Ole Miss. But focusing on the running Rebels, other weapons on offense, Kawhi Lacey, 20 rushing touchdowns on the year. He's definitely going to be key, taking pressure off of Chambers. And you have Harrison Wallace III, their stud wide receiver, 3 receiving touchdowns on the year. In my opinion, he needs to have a big game to set this Ole Miss offense on track.
Yeah, and the defense for Ole Miss, Tulane's QB, Jake Retzlaff, he can run the ball, he can throw it. He has 30 total touchdowns, I should say, 14 passing and 16 rushing. So, and also they got a good running back at Jamari McClure. He didn't play in that first meeting. He was injured. So, he might be kind of like the secret weapon for Tulane to keep them in games. So, I think this will be, that 17 number might be a little bit high. I think, like I said, I think Ole Miss does win this game, but it's not going to be a blowout like some people are predicting. So this might be one of the more surprise games of the weekend here. Now, the last game, James Madison and Oregon, another team that some people thought probably should not be in. But I think if you're Dan Lamming, I'm sure his guys are not going to take them lightly either. That's a pretty solid James Madison squad. And if you haven't seen Alonzo Barrett, the third play, you're in for a treat. He can, he has 21 TD passes and 8 interceptions. Dante Moore, that should be a good QB matchup for them. And I don't know what the line is, but like I said, I think this could be a study in contrast. I mean, it might be nerves. They're going to be playing in Eugene. I'm talking about James Madison. They've never been in this type of situation before since joining 1A. So this is going to be interesting. Of course, Bob Chesney, he's going to be new coach at UCLA. So again, he's doing double duty. So I think if you're Oregon, you want to pound them early to kind of like get them off, get them out of the game early, because if you let them hang around, the dudes are gonna be wondering, they're gonna want to feel like they believe and stuff. So if you want to, I think if you're, I think they're respecting them. I know Dan Lansman, they said they respect James Madison, but I think Oregon's gonna pounce them in a nice way.
I believe that's what's going to happen as well. The current line is Oregon is favored by 20.5, but going to James Madison, Wayne Knight, their star running back, 1,263 rushing yards and nine rushing touchdowns. He's definitely going to be key for that James Madison offense. And also to Landon Ellis, their star wide receiver, 5 receiving touchdowns to 541 receiving yards and 33 catches on the year. Those two have to get it going for JMU to even have a shot. But LaKeena, as I said, with Ole Miss in our last game, watch for the first 5 to 10 minutes. Like you said, James Madison, they're definitely going to be nervous. They never played in environments like that before. This is the big time now, and that could rattle you, and you go do something out of your element, out of your routine. It'll take you out of it. You have a silly turnover. You can fumble the ball. You can have some false starts and things along that line. It's a little thing, since the intangible sets good teams apart from great teams. So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting how James Madison can handle this now. If they're in the game by the end of the first quarter, like I said, almost anything can happen. But like you said, Oregon has something to prove, and I think they're going to hammer down that point home early.
That game will also be on TNT, HBO, and True TV. HBO Max, I should say, and True TV. So a nice way to start off the college football playoff. We got 4 games, so all should be entertaining in their own way.
Yep, and we'll have 4 games next week, and we'll preview those on Monday's show right here on Second City Sports, here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid LaKeena here with you on Sports Zone Chicago. We'll have Jack McGrath from ESPN 1000 Chicago coming up with his take on the Bears and Packers. But we have a few minutes left here. Let's go into some college basketball. LaKeena, what big games are you looking forward to this weekend?
1 second, as I had to go. My thoughts on what you gotta love a good touch screen here on the computer. Right here now, Wisconsin Villanova tonight on Fox. That should be a fun one. This is Villanova's last shot to try to get a nice win. Going into conference play. I think this is probably their last chance to get a nice resume building win. So we'll see what happens. That should be a fun one tonight, just outside Philadelphia. Some of the matchups for tomorrow, Saturday, Michigan State and Oakland. We know Oakland, they've made some big moves here. They beat Kentucky before in the tournament a couple years ago. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be 11 a.m. on the Big Ten Network. Now, there's a classic, State Farm Classic going on in Atlanta, I should say, tomorrow. CBS, you got St. John's in Kentucky, of course. Rick Pitino facing one of his former teams. St. John's got a couple of big wins. Kentucky, they got a big win as well. So this should definitely help them in their, kind of like building, the confidence, if you will. Chicago State, shout out to them. They now have a college football team now. They'll start playing next year. They face Indiana on the Big Ten Network Plus. So that should be a interesting one there going into the late games. Northwestern and Butler, that's going to be on Peacock and NBC Sports Network. The second game that State Farm Classic out there in Atlanta, you got a good one. You got North Carolina hosting Ohio State. That's gonna be on. That's at 2:00 on. Well, it's probably 2:00 on CBS. That should be a fun one. Oh, and a good one here on CBS to wrap up the triple header. You got a battle of the old Southwest Conference. If you guys know what I'm talking about, you got Arkansas in Newark, New Jersey. This is gonna be Arkansas and Houston. That should be a fun one at 4:30. That should be a fun one out there in New Jersey.
Yes, John Calipari, hopefully he loses. I hope the Cougars stick it to him. I'll leave it at that. And the perfect is right before the Bears game, so you'll surely be watching a lot of that.
That should be a fun one out there in New Jersey. In the Casico, the Gaybridge Field, how they should say, out in Indianapolis. You got Purdue and Auburn. That should be a fun one. That's going to be on Peacock, also on NBC Sports Network as well. And one of the nightcap games at Madison Square Garden. should be a fun one here. You got Duke, Cameron Boozer and the Duke Blue Devils against Texas Tech at 7 o'clock on ESPN.
He is very good.
Yes, he is. He's probably one of the best players in the country. Of course, his dad was, probably the cheese him and his twin brother's actually not too bad either. So I don't care who gets all the pub, but the twin brother's not too bad either. But that should be a fun one out there in Madison Square Garden.
Yep, in a Hall of Fame series in Phoenix on ESPNU at 7 o'clock, we'll have 92 Stanford versus 10-1 Colorado. At the same time on FS1, Xavier will battle Georgetown. There was a couple other games I want to discuss with you on this schedule. Here's one. The second half of that Hall of Fame series in Phoenix, 9:30 tomorrow night on ESPN2. San Diego State versus number 1 Arizona.
Yeah, I know this is supposed to have been a rebuilding year for San Diego State, but they've actually been pretty solid. And I know that this will definitely help them during tournament time. But Arizona, my God, they are. If you haven't seen, how do you say, Koa Pete play? 14 points. He can rebound. He can pass the ball. If you haven't seen him play, you're in for a treat. And that Arizona squad has been playing lights out. Tuba Akawa, another one who's a big guy. In the front court for the Wildcats. That should be a fun one. And you're going to see why the Arizona squad is one of the top teams in the country.
Yep. Just a couple games of note locally for Sunday. Southern Illinois will face Bradley at 1 o'clock. UIC will face Charlotte for college basketball on Sunday. And University of Michigan will face LaSalle. That's on Peacock on Sunday at 3 p.m.
Also be on NBC Sports Network. If you haven't seen Michigan play either, sort of the same reason. They're undefeated right now. They're kicking butt. So that should be a fun one. Also, DePaul, they continue conference playing the Big East as they host number 5 UConn. Good luck, Chris. Good luck, for the Blue Demons there. Also, Gonzaga and Oregon. That's gonna be on Peacock and NBC Sports Network as well. And Nebraska, hoping to stay undefeated. They host North Dakota. That's gonna be on 7 o'clock on BTN.
All right, we'll do that football coming up next in our last segment of the show right here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. This guy, hopefully he's thought up by now for the Wiener Circle. He'll give us his take on the Bears-Packers matchup that's taking place in the Lakefront tomorrow night. He's Jack McGrath from ESPN 1000. He's coming up next with his preview, and plus we'll wrap up the show with our week's NFL 16 NFL picks. That and a whole lot more as you listen to Second City Sports right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Chi. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
Got it done here. Ouch! And we're gonna make sure you lit this time. Ouch! You're not gonna get me this time.
Ow, Manny!
Oops! Let's try an easy one.
Every day, we take steps to keep the people we love safe, but some health risks are easy to miss. Ticks hiding in the yard can spread germs, like the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mice searching for food can spread bacteria that makes us sick. Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water and can spread West Nile virus and more. Cockroaches are drawn to water in the home, leaving behind allergens that can trigger asthma attacks. Common pests can threaten our health. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org.
Hey, this is Corey McGee, and I listen to Sean and Maya on the morning show.
Welcome back to Second City Sports and the hashtag Football Friday this year. Locked and loaded and we're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. LaKeena McGee is she. Sidney Brown here is me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, X, again, IG.
This is our last break of the show for today and for the week. So, if you have any last-minute questions or comments of any of the subjects that we discussed thus far on today's show, you got to hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. LaKeena will give the up on the screen for you.
He's a rising star over at ESPN 1000. He is the producer and the fill-in host. He's the one, the only, the fabulous, and the super cool Mr. Jack McGrath. Hey, Jack, what's up?
Hey!
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Good.
We're doing great. How about you?
I am doing phenomenal. Excited for this Bears-Packers game we've got coming up. I'm looking forward to it. I think the Bears have a really good chance in this one, which I can't say has happened very often in my lifetime. So I'm hoping for a victory on Saturday. On Saturday.
Yeah, tomorrow. What are your keys for a Bears victory, if you will?
Yeah, I think they should be able to control the pass rush in this game. Micah Parsons is out. He's the best pass rusher for the Packers. He's a superstar. He's on IR, so he's not going to play in this game. If the Bears can control the pass rush, give Caleb Williams time to throw, which is going to be even more important with the receivers out, being able to allow Zacchaeus and Duvernay and DJ Moore to get open, give those guys time to develop their routes. That's going to be important, I think. You need to make sure Caleb Williams has time to throw in this game. The other thing, too, vice versa, I think you need to get a pass rush on Jordan Love. It felt like last time these two teams played, Jordan Love had all day to sit in the pocket and just fire downfield. That can't happen. Have to limit the explosive plays for the Packers, and one way you can do that is get some explosive plays by your own defense, create some pass rush, maybe a sack or two, and force them to get the ball out a little bit quicker.
I talked about it earlier in our preview segment of Bears Packers that with Luther Burden and Roman Duze being out for the Bears for tomorrow, Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet, they're going to be key into how the Bears move the ball down the field. Talk to us about both those tight ends. As I said a couple of years ago, that we have a Pro Bowl type tight end, Cole Kmet. It's taken a long time for him to get his footing. Now we've seen some of the signs that he's a Pro Bowl tight end. Colston Loveland has made his mark, especially in that game winner against Cincinnati early in the year. Talk to us about both those tight ends, how they could be very important for the Bears to win tomorrow.
Yeah, well, Loveland's a guy that you drafted him for his pass catching ability. So you're expecting him to be able to go out wide and become the main target in your offense when everybody else is down. This is exactly the type of situation you drafted him for, is so he can turn into a big pass catcher in your offense. You need him to step up. It's been slow for him starting the season, but he's really started to get into the offense the past 4 or 5 weeks, coming out of the bye week, really. So if you're able to get Colston Loveland some targets, good things are going to happen. It feels like that guy catches everything. When the ball's thrown to him, he gets his hands on it, and it feels like he's able to catch it. So Colston Loveland's important. Sidney, you're right about Kmet. Kmet's one thing is, like, last year it felt like he was able to get out on, or even 2 years ago, he was able to push the ball downfield a little more on his routes, and he was able to lower the shoulder and pick up some extra yards. That's what I'm going to be looking for him today. He's got sure hands. He's always had sure hands. When you throw it to him, he's in the area. He's able to make a catch. So for Kmet, as long as he's going to get open, he can be that safety valve for Caleb Williams. I'd expect Loveland to stretch a little more downfield maybe in this game than we're used to seeing. and Kmet to more be that safety valve, would be my guess.
Now, Tremaine Edmonds is questionable. Another guy that's questionable for tomorrow night's game.
Mm-hmm.
How huge of the boost for that pass rush would be for the Bears if he's able to play tomorrow?
I mean, it'd be huge. He's a great player. The linebacking core has been beat up all season long, and the linebacking core still actually been pretty good, even given all the injuries. I mean, Jackson last week had a phenomenal game, and Sewell's been good, and Edwards has stepped up, but Edmonds is one of your top linebackers. He's a guy you pay a lot of money, and they have a good pass catching back, Josh Jacobs. He doesn't get a ton of targets, but he gets enough to where you'd like a good linebacking core, so they're able to cover him a little bit. Their tight ends they use in their offense, so you want your linebackers to be able to go out in coverage and rush the passer. Edmonds is the guy who can do it all, so getting him back would be a huge upgrade for this defense.
Yeah, sticking with the Bears defense, Jack, I want to go to the secondary. Of course, Jalen Johnson, when healthy, is a top 5 defensive back in the league. But let's talk about Nashawn Wright. He's second on the team, second in the league in interceptions next to his teammate Kevin Byard. Talk to us about his impact has surprised people, not just with the Bears, but around the league this year.
Yeah, he's kind of a big play player, right? He's not the most consistent guy. He doesn't have sticky coverage on every wide receiver that he covers, but he makes the big play, the big interception, the forced fumble on the tush push where he snuck in there and took it away from Jalen Hurts. He goes in there and he makes impact plays. And when Ben Johnson talks a lot about explosive, and he talks about that on the offensive side, but that's on the defensive side too. Dennis Allen talks about getting turnovers. If you force turnovers, those are game-changing explosive plays. Nashawn Wright's an explosive player. He's not going to be the most consistent coverage guy. You can't line him up consistently against a top-tier wide receiver. Now, the Packers don't really have any of those, so it helps him out a bit. But if you need, he's a guy that's going to go in. He's a ball hawk. It's like there's magnets on his hands. The ball just seems to fall into his hands. Right place, right time kind of guy, and he makes some athletic plays. So he's a big part of this defense, and the turnovers are explosive plays that are absolutely game-changing.
Let's talk special teams. We don't really talk about special teams a lot here, but I guess in this case, we kind of have to. Cairo Santos, how worried are you that if, God forbid, it comes down to a kick, can he make it, a kick, whether, what's your kind of like your level of worry?
Well, luckily, I don't think the weather's going to be too terrible at Soldier Field. You never know how the wind conditions are going to change. It's definitely not as cold as it was last week at Soldier Field tomorrow. So that doesn't concern me as much. For Santos, he's been there before, and he's very solid inside of 40 yards. He doesn't really miss a lot. I think he missed one recently, but he doesn't really miss a lot of kicks inside 40 yards. So I'm confident in that. My questions with Santos come when you're past 50 yards out, and he's been okay, but you get to that 55, 60-yard range, and I really don't trust him in those scenarios. He can't kick the ball over 60 yards. He's not going to make a field goal over 60 yards, right? So if you ever need a long field goal, he's not the guy, but I do trust him from 40 and in, and he's a veteran, so I trust him in those scenarios where if it's a late game situation, we've seen it already this year, I trust him that he can nail the field goal.
We're hanging out with our new friend of the show, Jack McGrath from ESPN 1000 in Chicago. He's hanging out here with us right here on Sports Zone Chicago's Second City Sports City. LaKeena here with you, previewing Bears Packers. Now let's go over to the other side, Jack, and talk about the Packers. Of course, listen to your colleagues at ESPN Milwaukee this week. Of course, without Micah Parsons, many of them talked about this is Jordan Love's time to become the Aaron Rodgers type and take over the game. Of course, statistically, he's having a better year than he did last year when he was injured. How worried are you about Jordan Love having that quote-unquote breakout performance against the Bears tomorrow?
Man, that would really stink, wouldn't it? If Jordan Love comes into Chicago and has that breakout performance in this big of a game. I'm not too worried. The Bears, if we're looking at just pure yardage numbers, now the takeaways are great, but if you look at just pure yardage numbers, the Bears aren't necessarily a shutdown defense this season. So is there a chance Jordan Love goes out and puts big numbers up tomorrow? Yeah. But if the Bears are able to hold them to 28 points or under, I'm pretty confident in the Bears offense as well to match that. So, yeah, I'm concerned about it, but if I'm to be honest with you, I think Caleb Williams right now is just as good, if not better, than Jordan Love as a quarterback. I would take Caleb Williams over Jordan Love if given the option. So I feel like the Bears have the quarterback advantage. Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about it, but I'm not terribly concerned because I think whatever Jordan Love can do, the Bears offense can do just as well, especially with Micah Parsons off the field.
Well, let's talk about the Bears Stadium situation because
Yeah.
that was the kind of like the big thing that happened, on Wednesday. Now, what are your thoughts on all this? Because the first to come out, the timing, and we're going to Northwest Indiana. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like the stadium in Illinois. I'd rather it be in Illinois personally, just because I'm from here and that's where it's always been. But Northwest Indiana would be fine. I think it's all posturing. Like, it's how long are we going to go through this? They still don't know where they're building. They own the property in Arlington Heights. It still, I think, makes the most sense that eventually they're going to wind up in Arlington Heights. Can they wind up in Northwest Indiana? Maybe. I'm no expert on property taxes and what's going on in the legislature, but it just right now, this just seems like a whole lot of posturing. And then Kevin Warren saying it's not leverage in the letter. It's pretty clearly you're trying to leverage the Illinois government to give you some tax breaks. So until they actually own a property in Northwest Indiana, I'm not going to put too much stock into any of that. I think all right now, this is just a whole bunch of talk, and it's been a whole bunch of talk for the past 2 years, and it's all negotiations. I don't think there's really anything you can take from it. It's the first time it's been on the table, and it's a potential option, I would think, but I can't put too much. If I was a betting man, I would put money that they still wind up in Arlington Heights.
Yeah. Well said. Getting back to on the field, assuming that the Bears win tomorrow night, their next 2 games are at San Francisco next week, and of course at home for Detroit the week after to wrap up the regular season. Given the results of last night's Seattle Rams contest, Seattle came back and won in overtime. Do you still believe that the Bears have a chance at a number 1 seed? I still say that the Rams are the best team in the NFC, but as we saw last night, they can be had. But if the Bears, assuming the Bears take care of business tomorrow against Green Bay and win their next 2 games, how realistic in your mind the Bears can still get the number 1 seed? Me personally, I think they'll end up number 2, but if the Bears can win out the rest of the regular season, do you think the Bears can get the number 1 seed?
Yeah, I think it's the Athletic Playoff Simulator, their website, that says like the Bears have a 60% chance of getting the 1 seed if they are to win out. So it's more likely than not. It's tough to say at this point. I'm trying to think. San Francisco's schedule, I know, is a little tougher. I believe Seattle is a little bit on that tough end. Like, I win out. If the Bears win out, I'm confident that they'll have a good shot at it, obviously. But if they win out, I feel really good about their chances. I'd be amazed if all those teams continue to win out, especially Seattle. And who knows with all these tiebreakers, depending on how many teams wind up tying. But Bears have a tough road. I mean, you got 3 teams fighting for the playoffs right there on their schedule still, in Green Bay, San Francisco, and Detroit. So all those games are going to be extremely difficult. But if you win out, I'm pretty confident they'll be in that 1 spot and get that bye.
A lot can happen though. So we've seen throughout the season though, we've seen strange things happen in the NFL. Now Jack, I know you're a Mizzou guy. I know I've heard you talk about it on the 1000. So your Missouri Athletics. I mean, look, football, the football teams go to the Gator Bowl. Your basketball, your men's hoops teams 10-2, about to start SEC play. So where do you think their chances are? The chances are against Virginia in the Gator Bowl, and also the men's basketball side. Perhaps they can go back to the tournament.
Yeah. So the football side, they'll be playing Matt Zollers, their freshman quarterback, because Bo Pribula, he entered the transfer portal. So they'll be playing their freshman quarterback, which honestly, his arm strength is really good, and pure talent-wise, he probably has more talent than Bo did. So I like the matchup there. They'll be missing Brett Norfleet, their starting tight end. He'll be sitting out the game. He's been injured on and off throughout the season, so they'll be missing him. I like the chances against Virginia. Mizzou's run game is phenomenal. They have 2 really great running backs. So I'd imagine that they'll be able to ground and pound against that Virginia defense. So I like their chances there. On the Mizzou side for men's basketball, I'm actually going to the Mizzou Illinois game on Monday, so I'm looking forward to that. It's in St. Louis. I'm going to take the drive down and go to the game. They need a marquee win out of conference. I think that Illinois game is really important. Mizzou does this thing in men's basketball where they've been scheduling the past few years a super soft schedule. I think they're trying to stack wins, but they don't really have a big win out of conference. They lost to Notre Dame. They lost to Kansas. Notre Dame's probably a bubble team this year. So that's not a great loss because you could be looking at that head-to-head at the end of the season, and the SEC is going to be tough again. So you need this marquee win outside of the conference against Illinois. I think that's extremely important. It's tough. Once again, though, because they haven't played a whole lot of top-tier teams, it's extremely tough to judge where they're at. They got crushed by Kansas, but Notre Dame's a bubble team, and they played them extremely close in South Bend. If I had to guess, this is a team that's going to be right on the bubble come March, and they might get to like 17, 18, maybe 19 wins total with that SEC schedule, but I don't know that they're going to crack that 22, 23 range that would make them a lock for March.
Last moment, too, with our new friend of the show, Jack McGrath from ESPN Chicago. He's hanging out here with us right here on Second City Sports, on Sports Zone Chicago. LaKeena here with you. Jack, last question for me. Besides previewing Bears-Packers for tomorrow, the main reason why I wanted to bring you on here today is LaKeena asked the question earlier. Are you thawed out from the Wiener Circle? You were in that hot dog costume in 20-degree frigid weather. Of course, we'll just get the background quickly. Of course, the Bears destroyed the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly, the home of the defending world champs, on Black Friday a couple weeks ago. Ben Johnson took off his shirt. And of course, everybody in Chicago got fed a free hot dog. You were down there in your hot dog costume. Talk to us about how did that process came about, and we knew that you enjoyed it because of the high that the Bears are taking us through right now. So how did that process all come about?
Yeah, of course. So we were figuring out ways at our station here at ESPN 1000. How can we celebrate Ben Johnson and the free hot dogs over at Wiener Circle? So I said, I have a hot dog costume. Let's do it. I'll go throw on the hot dog costume. And we had a couple other people out there, Hannah, Justin from the station. We all went out there and we just celebrated outside of Wiener Circle. I threw on the hot dog costume, and I was thawed out because it was freezing. I will say that. The hot dogs were cold after you stood in the cold with them for a couple minutes because it was sub 32 degrees. But the hot dog suit was warm, and the Bears fans were really excited. So it was a ton of fun. Like, when the Bears are good, the city's just happier. Everybody's walking around with a smile on their face. It feels like everybody's feeling a little bit. There's a little bit of pep in everybody's step. The city's just so much better when the Bears are good. So that was a ton of fun to go out there. Wear the hot dog costume, celebrated with some fans. And it was a good time over at Wiener Circle.
If they make a big playoff run, would you do it again?
Yeah, I'd do it again. Why not? It's just a hot dog costume. I do it. People were taking their shirts off in the sub-freezing temps, and it was like 15 degrees. I'm not doing that. I'll keep the hot dog. I'd rather have the hot dog costume than take my shirt off.
Smart man.
Yeah.
All right, this is Jack McGrath from ESPN 1000. Well, go ahead, Sid. No, so go ahead.
Yeah, just no. We'll bring Jack back, and we'll dive. Yeah, we'll bring Jack back down the line. We'll get more into his background, but I had to ask this one last question before we let you go, Jack. Since you, like you said, you grew up here in Chicago, Cubs fan or Sox fan?
I'm both. So
Both.
I root for both.
like
I don't
me.
know. Some people frown upon that, but I'm a both guy. I love the Cubbies. My dad was a Cubs fan, so I was watching the Cubs all the time. And then my grandfather's a Sox fan, so he always would dress me up when I was a baby in Sox stuff. So a little bit of both for me. I root for both our baseball teams.
See, Jack, Sid gets on me all the time for cheering for
just
both
real
teams.
quick.
So cyber fist bump with that one.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah. It just quick, Jack. I work. Yeah. We'll All right.
All right. So what's up?
Did I lose you guys?
Yeah, I just want to say to Jack real. Yeah, no, we're here. I just want to say real quick, Jack, before I got cut off. I work with both these fan bases for the White Sox. So Section 108 in the Chicago Sports Funds. They usually do a tailgate once a month. Throughout the season, the first tailgate will be April 2nd at the home opener. But if you have time, I'll send you the information when they give it out later on in this year. But if you have time on a Saturday throughout the season, I'd like to invite you to a Chicago Sports One / 108 tailgate.
That'd
have
be
some
awesome,
fun.
man. I'd love to stop by. That sounds great.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Now, all right. So, Jack, it's been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're busy, so we'll let you go here. So, where people can find you on the Twitter and the social media and all that, and on the station, all that other good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I'm on ESPN 1000. I rotate between all of our shows, so I'll be producing Waddle and Sylvie this afternoon. They have their big holiday party in Naperville. And you can find me on Twitter at Jack McGrath TV is the handle. And you can find me there and wherever you get. And I'll be hosting Sunday morning from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. after the game, recapping the Bears-Packers game on ESPN 1000. So you can listen to that on our app, on our stream, or AM radio if you're in Chicago on 1000 AM.
All right, and real quick, if you see Chris and Adam, you tell them I said what's up because, of course, this was they're going to be doing their last show. In a few minutes. So, they were one of my first teachers over at the old IMS Chicago, at the old State Street campus. I know they're the hair wash right now. So tell them I said what's up, congrats, and we'll talk more about that later on after we do our picks. But thank you so much, Jackie. Yeah, tell Chris and I said what's up.
Will do. I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Jack. Enjoy the game.
All right, thanks, Jack. Much continued success.
Thank you.
All right, all right. Folks, that was Jack McGrath from ESPN Chicago. Now we got to do a little spread out here. As Phil Jackson said way back in the day, we're going to do some our picks. Now, real quick with our with the crazy Rams Seahawks finish last night. Seahawks coming back from 13 down. Went for the win. They got the win, and now they control their own destiny, not only with the NFC West, but also the number one seed. We talked about the number one seed. They could get the number one seed as well. Talk about the Seahawks. And smart on Zach Charbonnet for the play that kind of started the comeback, being right there in the end zone, even though they tried a lateral. It didn't work. Charbonnet, picked up the ball, was in the end zone, and it was a kind of crazy. Shout out to McCauley too. The rules out for a prime. He kind of split it very well, and now it started to come back, and now Seahawks now got a shot to get the number one seed in the West, in the NFC West.
I said on the show a couple of weeks ago that the Seahawks can be sneaky dangerous come playoff time, whether they play in Seattle or somewhere else. Obviously, it has to depend on the matches. But you saw again last night, even on the Rams, they started off hot early, but it's the last couple of drives in that first half, LaKeena, they settled for field goals instead of going for touchdowns. If a couple of those field goals went for touchdowns, the Rams would have won that game. But Seattle came back defensively. They ran the ball. You mentioned with Zach Charbonnet, Kendall Walker III had some great runs in there, and Sam Darnold. I know he's still having a good year, not as great as it was last year when he was with Minnesota. But Sam Darnold, as long as he doesn't turn the football over like what he did the first time when they played the Rams in Los Angeles about a month ago, the Seahawks could be sneaky dangerous. This is not the Legion of Boom defense from a decade ago, but you got Thibodeau over there, Kobe Bryant. No, not that Kobe Bryant, but they can make some plays on defense. So Seattle's almost like Chicago in a sense, only they have a number one wide receiver. We still don't, not yet anyway. But you got Jackson Smith and Jimbo on the outside as your number one wide receiver. You have a very good 1-2 tandem in the running game, and their defense is not going to scare you statistically on paper, but they can make some plays. So Seattle can be sneaky good. So as everybody talk about Green Bay and San Francisco, and Philly is not going to be up there in the top, but Seattle could be can be one of those teams that you do not want to play come playoff time, and you saw that example again last night.
Yeah, 225 yards and 2 TDs effort there for Puka Nacua. Not a good week for him. The Google's your friend, folks. I won't get into that whole thing, but yeah, a really entertaining game, and like I said, we'll see what happens down the line these next couple of weeks for them. But as far as our picks, our Chrissy Mann from KXRB, she's out on the road right now, so we do have her picks, and she's actually leading by 1 right now. She and I both had 10. And Sid, you had 9 wins last week, so it's getting a little crowded there at the top, folks. But I digress. Christy's up by 1. You're 2 games behind, so it's only a 2-game. It's a 2-game. Standings between the 3 of us. So yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see these next few weeks what happens here.
Thank you, Dolphins, for blowing that game.
I know you'd be pissed off about that one. So I know you'd be pissed off about that game. So I knew when I thought about it. Yeah, Sid's gonna be pissed off because that.
Yeah, and so does head coach Mike McDaniel. He's mad, very mad too, and he did a drastic move, which we'll get to in a second.
And we will talk about that too. So let's get right to it here. The other game tomorrow. This will be the early game on Fox. You got Eagles and Commanders, and Eagles. They got back on track. Beating Las Vegas at home. It looks. I mean, it'll be close because it's a divisional game, but I don't see Washington winning. So I'm picking Philadelphia. So is Christine. She also has Philly.
Make it 3 for 3. I'm going with Philadelphia as well. The Commanders played better last week, unlike 2 weeks ago when they laid a goose egg at Minnesota. But Philadelphia, they win this game, they'll win the NFC East. The prize isn't within their sights. They're going to find a way to get it done on the road in a divisional bout.
Should be still an entertaining game. Now, I will be watching this game on this computer screen in NFC South. For control of the NFC South, you got Tampa Bay and Carolina. You start this one, Sid.
The Carolina Panthers melted down at New Orleans last week. The Buccaneers have done the same thing throughout the last month. So what gives here, I think experience will give here in this matchup. Baker Mayfield, we talked about him in the first half of the year as being the MVP candidate, but that left shoulder of his has given him trouble. The injury bug has given the Buccaneers trouble, and their lack of running consistency in the running game has given them trouble as well. On the flip side for Carolina, as I said on the show on Monday, you hope that loss last week at New Orleans does not start a free fall for them because they're still a young team. They need to bounce back mentally. Yes, they're at home, but I think experience wins out here. Tampa Bay's favored by 3 on the road. I'm going with the Buccaneers.
I also have Tampa Bay. I think, especially with getting, they are getting some guys back. I talked about with the injury. Mike Evans is back. I think he's going to be a little bit better, and so will Chris Godwin. So I think they're going to find their rhythm. And although it should be a very entertaining game, I think Tampa Bay pulls away later. Christine also has Tampa, so we agree once again. Now Buffalo got a big win against New England last week, and of course, Cleveland, they stuck it up against the Bears. Let's keep it one. We're keeping it 100 here, and ironically, most of the nation will get this game as a part of the CBS's game one of the doubleheader here, but. I think it should be okay. There's going to be no letdown for the Bills. I think the Bills, they're finding their rhythm. The defense is finding their rhythm, too. I think they'll do just enough to win this game. So I'm picking Buffalo. Christine also has Buffalo.
Make it 3 for 3 Buffalo, and they're favored by 10.5 on the road.
We'll see if Myles Garrett gets a sack with Josh Allen. I don't think Josh Allen will let him do that, but we'll see what happens. Here, now, an intriguing one here down there in Jerry's world. You got the Cowboys hosting the Chargers. Sid.
Dallas is out of the playoff picture. Assuming that Philadelphia wins on Saturday, they'll win the NFC East. We know that the Cowboys are out of that too. The Chargers had a big win last week at Kansas City, knocking them out of the playoff chase. They go back on the road again. Jim Harbaugh has this team playing very well right now. I know, as I said last week, Dallas was a very good home team. Well, they wet the bed against Minnesota. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a physical game. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Who is that in favor of? Is in favor of the Chargers. Dallas is favored by 1.5, which means Vegas has to pick them. I'm going to pick the Chargers.
Now, I wouldn't be shocked if Dallas pulls off the upset, quote unquote. I'm doing the air quotes here, folks who are listening. But yeah, I think the Chargers should do just enough to win this game. I think they know that they gotta keep up with Denver to get that number 1 seed, not only the AFC West, but also overall in the AFC. So they gotta get it going here. I think they will do just enough to win this game. And Christine also has well, these are her exact words: Chargers ? And sure. Then she laugh out loud. So I don't know. Good thing we're not doing confidence picks, for this one.
Exactly. Real quick, LaKeena, happy birthday to Chicago's very own Adam Amin. Of course, the Bulls TV announcer. He'll be calling for Fox on Sunday. So have a great call at Mr. Adam Amin.
We gotta try to get him on though, because I met him at the old IMS campus. Really good guy too. So it should be kind of an intriguing one here. Now, Jets and Saints. Yeah, gonna keep it short.
And they're favored by 6.5 at home.
I think Tyler. I think it's a Tyler Slow show. So I'm thinking that maybe this will probably be one of those things where I think this might be one of those types of games. So I also have New Orleans winning this one just because the Jets. I have no clue what the hell the Jets are doing. So and Christine, let me see what she got here. Hold on. Separate tabs. She also she has a Jets ? And look, I wouldn't be surprised if they win this one. I think don't be surprised. I would say. So we'll see what happens in this one, even though they're in the Superdome. Vikings and Giants. Sid.
Jackson Dart, 10 total touchdowns into 1 interception in his last 5 starts. Minnesota, they pulled off an upset win at Dallas last Sunday night. What gives here? I don't trust J.J. McCarthy to do it again on the road. I know the Giants, they're not world beaters either, but just because they're at home, I'm going with the New York Football Giants. And the Vikings are currently 2.5-point favorites on the road.
I'm picking the Minnesota Vikings. I think I don't really trust the Giants either, honestly. So someone's got to win this game, right? Unless it's a tie. So I'm picking the Vikings. And Christine also has the Vikings. So gonna be interesting though, to say the least. All right, here's something you don't used to see. We are not used to saying. The Chiefs are no longer in playoff contention. So, but still, they still got to finish up the schedule. Of course, Mahomes is out for the year. And then they play Tennessee. Christine has Kansas City. I'm also going to pick Kansas City. I think Gardner Minshew will do just fine with that offense. So, plus Tennessee, I don't think anything's going to happen with Tennessee. So I'm picking Kansas City.
Yeah, the Chiefs defense will get after Cam Ward, and they're playing for pride. So I'm going with Kansas City, and they're currently favored by 3 on the road.
All right, keeping up with the theme here, and this is the last of the noon games. Our buddy Spiro Diaz from CBS Sports will have the call of this game down there in South Beach, so at least it'll be nice and warm down there. You got Miami hosting the Bengals, and of course, Joe Burrow with his comments last week. And then, of course, Mike McDaniel making the switch. Tua now to Quinn Ewers, the rookie QB from Texas. So, Sid, you start this one. Someone's got to win this game, right?
I'm keeping it short. Yeah, and Tua is now your third string, so he'll be running scout team from now to the end of the season, which is still a couple of weeks. But I'm going with the Bengals here. They're currently favored by 4.5. Someone has to watch this game will end of the tie, but someone has to win this game, right? I think Cincinnati would be a little bit more motivated, hopefully. So I'm going with the Bengals here.
I also have Cincy. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, yours. Someone's got to win this game, right? So yeah, I have Cincy, and also Christine also has Cincy with a question mark. So yeah, we'll see. Watch yours throw for like 3 TDs or something like that. So who knows? All right. The first of the 3:00 games, you got the Falcons and the Cardinals. The Cardinals. Okay. I guess I'll pick Atlanta. I guess Chrissy also has Atlanta too with a question mark.
This is I think this will be considered the trash bowl game of the week.
Yep.
Yeah. This I'm not touching this game. I'm going with the Falcons. They're currently favored by 3 on the road.
All right, now I know some Jaguars fans are a little bit miffed because this isn't the marquee game on Fox, but with it setting up being a single header, game. So unfortunately, only a small part of the nation, I think, like mostly, I guess we'll get this game. But Jacksonville and Denver. Now we're just to see if weather becomes a factor here. Oh gosh, do I trust Jacksonville? Do I not trust Jacksonville? That is a question. Now I'm not none. I'll pick Denver just because I went through all that. I picked Denver. Go figure. Yeah, said pondering. Well, Christine also has Denver, but we know the reasons why she's picking Denver to got keep the peace with her husband. So
I'm going with Denver too. They're favored by 3.5 points at home. Yeah. They're home because win last weekend. Jack's defense, Jack's going to be a tough against that tough Denver Orange Crush defense. So I'm going with Denver.
All right. So now this is going to be a key game. The Lions will be watching on CBS as part of the doubleheader. Both teams are 8-6. You got the Steelers and the Lions. Now the Steelers, got that nice win against Miami, much to his chagrin, and But I think like Christine, she also has I don't know what your pick is, but yeah, Christine and I agree here. I think it's gonna be Detroit, mainly because they're at home, and B, it's gonna be a shorter week for Pittsburgh. So I'm picking Detroit. I know they're banged up, especially on the secondary, but I think they do just have to win this game because they basically got to win out to get a playoff spot. So I think they're gonna be motivated here. I'm gonna pick Detroit, and so is Christine. She also has Detroit.
We don't know the status of TJ Watt yet. And the Steelers, I don't think they have enough weapons to get in the shootout with the Detroit Lions at Ford Field. So for that reason alone, I'm going with Detroit as well. The Lions are currently favored by 7.
So it sounds like Vegas knows something that we don't now. You got the Las Vegas Raiders. I almost said Oakland Raiders for a second. I was thinking I saw an old game from like way back when, the Super Bowl 15, between where those Raiders, the Oakland Raiders, beat the Philadelphia Eagles, with Jaws as a QB. Yes, he was. So yeah, this edition of the Raiders in Las Vegas, they face Houston. Pretty short and sweet Houston. So is Christine. She also has Houston.
Make it 3 for 3 Houston. They're currently favored by a touchdown and a half, 14.5 points.
All right, an intriguing Sunday night game here in Baltimore. You got the Ravens and the Patriots hosting the Patriots. Now it'll be interesting to see what the Patriots mindset is after a tough loss to Buffalo. Now the Ravens are 7-7, but they got a lot to play for. They basically got to win out and keep pace with the Steelers. So I'm wondering when they watch that game against the Lions for the Steelers, what their mindset's going to be. Because if the Steelers do lose, and we're predicting that, they'll definitely be even more motivated to play. So I'm going to say Baltimore. I think one of their O-line guys are I'm talking about the Patriots, so that could be a factor for that. So I don't know. I know it's hard to trust the Ravens, but gosh, I'll pick New England just because, Baltimore. I haven't trusted Baltimore all year, so I'm picking New England. And Christy also has New England.
I'll go the opposite. I'm going with Baltimore, assuming that Detroit takes care of Pittsburgh. Baltimore will be extra motivated to go out and win the game and regain control of that AFC North division, and let Derrick Henry cook and try to protect Lamar Jackson. I think that'll be the perfect gameplay for Baltimore. So I'm going with Baltimore here. They're currently favored by 3 points at home.
All right, an intriguing game here as the 49ers go somewhat across country as they face the Colts. The Colts, I know Phillip Rivers, showed that he still got a little something in the tank, and he's actually, if I'm looking at this right, I think his record against the 49ers, I'm going to look it up real quick, isn't very well, is okay. He's 4-0 against the 49ers. Of course, it was days playing with the Chargers, so take that for what you will. But I think he will get his first loss. San Francisco, very quietly, they're right there with that with the Rams losing to the Seahawks, they can now, if they win out, they can get the number 1 seed in the NFC and also the division as well. So, they're kind of quietly, no one's really paying attention. Like I said, I think Kyle Shanahan, likes it that way. No one's paying attention to it. So because of that, I'm thinking San Francisco.
I'm going with the 49ers as well. They're currently favored by 5.5.
Christine agrees. She also has San Francisco. So should be a good one out there in Indy. And of course, last but not least, of course, the beloved, the Bears against the Packers. All right, you got the top team, calling this game for Fox. Weather shouldn't be a factor because it's going to be a little bit, I would say milder, but compared to what happened in Green Bay a couple of weeks ago, it'll be like the Cook Islands. I think it's going to be like in the upper 20s. I think as the game starts. So and then there won't be a lot of wind. It should be a lot of wind, but I don't know. I guess because the Michael Parsons injury, I think really kind of makes it sort of even for the Bears. So I think the Bears will win this game. But like I said, thank God we're not doing confidence picks because I would have a 1 on this one because, like I said, I'm not very confident on that. Yeah, I can hear. Yes, Christy. I know you're gonna be listening to this later. Yes, Christy. Yes, I still don't believe in the Bears, but whatever. But she also has the Bears, so But yeah, like I said, thank God we're not doing confidence picks.
Make it 3 for 3. I'm going with top Bears as well. As we talked about to open up the show. They had to control the line of scrimmage early, get the run game going, get off the bus running, control the line of scrimmage, use both of your tight ends, and create some turnovers on defense. I preferably like to see Jordan Love eat some Soldier Field turf, but I know that's a little bit too much to ask for the defensive line for the Chicago Bears. But I think the Bears will learn their lesson from a couple of weeks ago. That crowd's going to be fired up at Soldier Field. I don't want to hear no more of that stadium talk. The focus should be on this game. The Bears will be focused on this game, and they will win by a field goal. So I'm going with Chicago here in the field goal. They're currently favored by a 1.5, which means Vegas has them in a pick 'em.
Watch Jordan Love throw for like 4 touchdowns or something like that. So when they end up winning, we've seen this movie before, sis. So we'll see. But it should be a good one out there at Soldier Field tomorrow night. As you listen to Second City Sports on Sports Chicago, LaKeena, McGee, I know we're right up against it, but a couple of
we had it.
Yeah, so we're going to almost quick sports meeting, so we're going to get super quick. But of course, you guys saw the reports yesterday, and I think they're going to make it official right now. Chris Black and Adam Abdallah, from ESPN 1000. They've been there since, good Lord, they've been there a long time. So, but they announced their departure from that. They're going to be departing that station. They're going to be hosting a daily show on Westwood One Radio. And let me get the schedule here now. Of course, they're doing the last show as we speak right now. So after we're done here, you guys can go listen to such. Now they'll still be doing Bears pre and post game still for the next 3 weeks, but it's just that after this is their last show. But they will start off, I believe, on January 5th. I believe I gotta get their schedule real quick over by Jeff Akers. But yeah, so good on them. I mean, look, I feel like they haven't been treated well at the station the last few years. Not being able to have their own show. Now they're going to have their own show, especially nationally. So they can talk sports, pop culture, music, what have you. I think they'll do just fine on Westwood One Sports.
Yeah, and as I said, the message to Adam Abdallah yesterday, both of them are going to kill it. And like I think we were talking about before, they got the Chris Ranchi special. They're hosting half-hour shows, 1-hour shows at night, and then occasionally during the day. And of course, they've been doing great with the Uninterrupted ever since they debuted in the fall. But at least with this national show, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, starting on January 5th, they don't have to talk any Bulls. They don't have to talk about the Blackhawks. If they talk about the Bears, they'll mention them as one of the top teams that are going into the playoffs. And they don't have to do that baseball thing unless it's warranted with both Cubs and Sox. So outside of the Bears, they don't have to talk too much Chicago sports for the foreseeable future.
Well, yeah, it's true. Let's absolutely have to. Of course, you can catch. Of course, like I say, like we said, you can catch their new show coming up January 5th on Westwood One Sports. I think you get it on the app too for free, I believe. So if you got on the Odyssey digital platform, also Sirius XM channel 375. So yeah, so you guys can be able to listen and watch them whenever. And good luck to them. And we'll see what happens at 1,000. Will our new buddy Jack, will he get his own show too? I mean, I think we know he's a rising star there. So we'll see what happens. But definitely the end of an era over at ESPN 1000.
Yeah, and I think John Greenberg of The Athletic said it perfectly. I'm just paraphrasing here. Both of them, talking about Adam and Black, both started off as interns on the old afternoon saloon program that rose to the ranks as producers and hosts. So, yeah, it's a coming full circle with both those gentlemen, and they'll do great things over there at Wrestling One Sports Radio.
All right, anything else before we disperse? I know we're really up against it, but yeah, anything else?
I'm ready for this big game tomorrow night, LaKeena, and let's get it on because they don't get it on. I'm talking about the Bears and the Packers. So I'm ready to watch the game. It should be an exciting weekend for both college and pro football.
Absolutely. You can follow McKee McGee on the Twitter, X, and again, the IG.
You can follow your Shirley Sidney Brown on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, so Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from 12:15 to 2:15 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the kids would say. Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in the living color every Monday, every Friday from 12:15 to 2:15 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And if you're inclined, we're going to be off for the next couple of weeks, for winter break. You can catch up on our show. Sean's here Sports, the Smoke Fellas, and so much more. We've seen our replay numbers have been really good the last couple of weeks. So thank you guys for all the support.
Get them up.
Yeah, make sure you guys spread the word. And look, it's a perfect time, of course. Guys, folks gonna be off on break for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, so if we catch replays, if you miss our interviews with people like Jack, our picks, and so much more, you can catch it anytime, anywhere on Sports Chicago's YouTube channels.
And we will provide.
All right, enjoy the college football playoff, NFL, late season NFL, college hoops, the rest of the bowl schedule. Also, if you like women's volleyball, I got Texas A&M and Kentucky at 2:30 on ABC. So ABC giving them a little bit of love, so that's good to see. And also Blackhawks, we'll see if they can get back on track because not a good loss last night. Very impressed. They play Ottawa tomorrow on ESPN Plus, so you guys check that out as well. Hopefully the Blackhawks can get back on track, so we'll see. But yeah, so enjoy all the sports, and if you're on the holiday rush, stay warm. And it's supposed to be a little bit warmer, the next couple of days. So just be careful out there and be good to each other. Before I said, I'm LaKeena with Second City Sports on Sports Chicago, and we'll see you guys on Monday.
Go Bears, holla!